Welcome to the All Things Real Estate podcast, your go-to resource for navigating the ever-changing world of real estate. We break down the latest trends, industry changes, and strategies you need to make informed decisions in today's housing market. Check out the show notes at the allthingsrealestatepodcast.com. This show is brought to you by ROOST Real Estate Company. If you're looking for real, actionable advice without the jargon, subscribe today. Now, here's your host, Chris McAllister.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris McAllister with ROOST Real Estate Company, and welcome to the State of the ROOST Union 2026. Each year, I try to take the time to reflect on what we built, what we've learned, and most importantly, where we're headed as a company. So this is my annual report to our buyers and sellers, our clients, our agents, our owners, and our team, and anybody else who trusts us with their home and their investments. So I'm joined today, as always, by our marketing director and my podcast partner, Laci LeBlanc, who actually was a huge help in making 2025 the success it was. So good morning, Laci.
Good morning, Chris.
Happy holidays.
We've earned it.
Yeah. 2025 was quite a year. Yeah. I have to tell you, this is sort of my last official act of the year, and I'm looking forward to a little bit of time off. But 2025, it wasn't a quiet year. We made some big bets. We made bets on people. We made bets on systems and content. And I really feel like those bets have if they haven't paid off already, they soon will. But looking back, I can say with confidence that 2025 was foundational for us. I think we really set the stage for what the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years look like. So what I'm hoping to do today is discuss with you the wins we had for 2025, at least the ones that mattered most.
Yeah, let's get into it. I have the luxury of seeing a brief overview or an outline of these podcast episodes in advance and getting excited about it before everybody else gets to hear it. But this is going to be one for the books.
Well, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. We do several things at ROOST, right? We have a wonderful group of agents that help buyers and sellers make their real estate dreams come true. We have an incredible property management team that looks after over 1,000 properties now or 1,000 doors for around 300 owners. And the rehab and maintenance division, ROOST Rehab and Maintenance, that's kind of the first thing I want to touch on. So anyway, there's not a whole lot of theme here. I'm going to jump around a bit, but the ROOST Rehab and Maintenance, this was definitely a year, and I knew that we had to improve our rehab and maintenance services by spring of 2025, and I called it, at least to myself or with the team, I communicated it as Rehab and Maintenance 2.0. So if 2024 was the year we kind of stabilized property management and rehab and maintenance, 2025 was the year, especially in rehab and maintenance, where I don't know if this is a real word, Laci, but I feel like we truly professionalized our rehab and maintenance division. And the other thing that became clear for me was, we do three things at ROOST. There's three legs of the ROOST stool or the ROOST business. And the first leg is sales. The second leg is property management. But the third leg is truly the rehab and maintenance division. So we did a lot of upgrades. We have much stronger leadership in rehab and maintenance. We've got better field processes and more professional field people. Our turn times have improved dramatically. Honestly, I haven't done the math this week, but I would say that our turn times are easily 50% faster than they were this time last year. We do a much better job, our guys in the field, when they go out to fix something in an occupied unit, it gets done the first time. And the scores that they get, the feedback results they get from the tenants has been phenomenal. And it's only getting better month after month. So the tenants really appreciate what the field guys are doing, and I appreciate it as well. It's become a critical part of our business here at ROOST. Much better contractor coordination. We 90% of the time when we are helping an owner with a turn, we use third-party contractors. And some of these guys have been with us, since we started this in like 2009. But as we've grown, we've had to add additional contractor partners. And I think we're doing a much, much better job now coordinating their activities. And we also got the finances right, both internally and also for our owners. When there's a charge, it's very clear what it is. They understand it. They're prepared for it. It's been communicated. So that's a big win. So the numbers don't lie. Satisfaction is up, tenant satisfaction is up, maintenance completion times are down. Owners are seeing more cost-effective turnovers, and more importantly, there's fewer surprises. And it is really a huge profitability center for us. It is huge to us. I guess more important is the better phrase there, because again, the three legs of the stool. We've got sales, we've got management, and now we've got rehab and maintenance. And I really want to shout out to Brad Owens, our rehab and maintenance manager, and to Rena Smith, who joined the property management team this year, and every one of the guys in the field, and Angela and Josie and Kelly for getting the money back all the time that we front to the owners. So it was a team effort to make this transformation possible. And that's win number one.
Yeah, I spend most of my time working remotely, so I don't get to be in the office around everybody, but I was there this past weekend, and being able to meet a rehab and maintenance team that is so invested in the company they work for, that is so happy to be there, and that has such great leadership is really a pleasure. You don't see that a lot. And I think it's worth pointing out that, if you read anywhere about property management, if you talk to any owners, then rehab and maintenance can be the killer of profitability, right? That can be the difference
No
between
question.
red and black in any given year. So to get this under control and, to have a rehab and maintenance program that makes money that's the difference. And so that's a huge win. I think it's aptly put at the top of the stack here. But it was very cool to see everybody in person and to hear, to see the faces behind all those fantastic Google reviews that we get from tenants and from owners, and to just see how invested they were in the success of Roost and the success of the tenants and the owners, was a real treat.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's definitely a win. All right, so the second thing I wanted to touch on are owner portfolio reviews. And one of my personal goals, and I know we discussed this when we did this last year, but one of my personal goals coming into 2025 was to increase my direct engagement with our owners, not through automation, not through templates, but through real one-to-one conversations about their assets, their strategy, and most importantly, their long-term goals. I probably have done, I think I had close to 30 meetings with owners this year, and we've got we created a really, me and spreadsheets, I love spreadsheets, but we really created a spreadsheet for each and every owner so that we can really drill down as to exactly what's happening with their portfolios. What we're able to do now when we schedule these is we can sit with the owner, and Gretchen does them with me, so we can actually understand what's happening with their portfolio. We can understand where they are on rents, and we can see at a glance where the rents should be going over at the next renewal cycle and beyond. We're downloading all of the income statements for this year and last year, so we can analyze not just the rents, but the expenses. And when we go through and look at the rents we're getting, and the rents we could be getting, we can start to map out like a strategy over the next 3 to 5 years that includes a conversation about where our owners may want to upgrade some of their properties. One of the things, and again, it still ties back to rehab and maintenance 2.0. Everybody knows that this has been a pretty tough year in real estate, whether on the sales side or on the owner side or the property management side. And what we finally realized the hard way this summer was what I need as an owner, what all of our owners need is to minimize the cost of turns, right? So when a tenant moves out, 99% of the time this year, we've recommended, and our owners have demanded, that they just want to do enough to maintain the property in its current state and to maintain the rent they're currently getting. And I get that. This is a time to be cautious. This is a time to keep your powder dry, because when the market changes and we have buying opportunities again, I want all of our folks to be ready for that. But there's still times, and I found this in my portfolio this year, where I've had houses where the rent increases I did make didn't keep up with what the market was doing, right? So, I'm nervous about raising my rents too much, because the last thing I want to do is have a tenant move out and then I end up with a vacancy, right? So there's always that happy medium between, what increase is reasonable that doesn't displace the tenant and cause me more short-term expense, and where should we be from a market rate rent. But there's been many instances that strategic upgrades on properties these days, and I'll just use mine as an example, where there's been places where I've updated kitchens, or I've added air conditioning, or installed replacement windows. And in many cases, and we had a podcast about this earlier this year, I've been able to increase my rents by sometimes 20-30% with a new tenant. And being able to sit down with an owner at these portfolio reviews and map out a 3 to 5 year strategy, I think has been very, very valuable for everybody involved. It's certainly been valuable for me. The other thing we've been able to do is talk about what their goals and plans are for the future, and kind of identify expansion opportunities. And more importantly, or just as importantly, we talk about what dangers, they are experiencing, and really what keeps them up at night. So this one-on-one communication, I feel a little bad that we weren't doing this, for the past 5 years or whatever, but at least we started this year. And it's become, a really meaningful part of my work. So I just want to shout out to every owner that took the time to sit down and do a Zoom with us this year. I truly enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And I do feel this is one of the most valuable things that we can offer our owners going forward. So in 2026, the portfolio reviews will become a standard part of the Roost owner experience.
Yeah, I think that two things. First of all, if you've owned a property for any amount of time or know anyone who has, then you know that a lot of the time, or there's at least been a chunk of time where it feels like you're just putting out fires. So having this kind of bird's eye view and being able to look at it and plan for things and be able to avoid risk, to avoid, to address things before they happen, right? And to not be in this putting out fires headspace is naturally going to be great for a portfolio. So I think that's a huge value. And most owners probably don't take that time or can't make that time without a little bit of help. The other thing is I don't think that this is a standard thing that property management companies offer. This is portfolio management. This isn't just property management. So I do think that taking all of the knowledge we as the property manager has about this portfolio and every other property and portfolio that we help manage is highly valuable to people. You can get a lot more when it comes to trends, when it comes to, spotting risks, when it comes to picking out things and planning ahead, if you have the knowledge that a property management company has versus just one property owner. So I think sharing that knowledge is not standard for most property management companies. And I'm super excited that it will be a standard part of the Roost experience moving forward, because I think selfishly, as the marketer in the room, that really helps differentiate, how we do business. And the thing is we've been doing it all along, right? This is just standardizing it for everybody.
Well, and we need to be partners in our owners' success, and we've got skin in the game too. We need our owners to be around and profitable for a long, long time, so that we could be around and profitable for a long time. So, okay, let's jump to Laci, your bailiwick. This is really the year, I think, when Roost and learnwithroost.com, it's almost like we became our own little media company. For us, I love content. I love doing these. Thank God I've got Laci, got you here to do them with me. But for us, the content that we generate at Roost for investors, for real estate professionals, for buyers and sellers, it's part of who we are. It's part of the product. And this was the year that we launched a YouTube channel, a YouTube presence. What's it called exactly? I can't remember. Forgive me. I think it's not just Roost Real Estate Co. I think it's something else, but we'll put that in the show notes. But So we have a YouTube presence now that we never ever had before, and we're steadily building it out every single month. The other super cool thing we discovered was there's a website out there called Hey Gen, and what it does is it creates AI video avatars of real people. So we started pushing content out there with my digital avatar doing different training and communicating, a lot of the updates and a lot of stuff about the company out there. So that's been super, super cool. And it's just one more thing that allows us to push content out to the world that, first of all, we think is valuable to the people that we're targeting. But more importantly, we're reaching these people where they are. So if somebody loves to listen to a podcast or now watch our podcasts on YouTube, or if somebody likes to read and they want to read the blog post, or if somebody's on social media and they catch some of this stuff on social media, or they're video people and they want to watch one of an avatar video, we're kind of hitting all the bases now. And this is one of those long game projects. It's not like we're suddenly going to become Mr. Beast anytime soon, but at least we're building a library of content that's all linked back to the website. So all of that should help us with Google search and AI search and all of that. And Laci, you've created a sort of a content rhythm, you and Kylie, that we're out there on the socials, we're out there on on Google, we're on the website, we're going to be picked up on AI. All this stuff is only going to help get our message out more and more. So what did I miss there, Laci? This was a much bigger job than
Yeah, it has been, but I don't think a lot has changed for us. I do want to point out for anybody listening out there that has knowledge of how content worked before, that content was king for a long time when it came to search engine optimization. And then it kind of fell by the wayside when you had all these shortcuts that you could use.
Yeah.
And when paid advertising on Facebook and Google became a thing, content kind of fell by the wayside for a lot of folks. It never did for us, right? We were always producing the content, but the struggle was being able to get it out to all the different channels, like you talked about, and to all the right people. So now, thanks to some of these new tools and having some great folks on board, we're able to do that. But the goal is still the same. Yes, do we want people to find us on AI search and on Google and wherever content, is found? Of course. But what we're looking for is what we've always been looking for, and that's the person who needs us, and vice versa, the right fit. So, I think that by continuing the content journey that we're on, we're really just trying to get the information out there. And then for folks who decide, yeah, you know what, I could benefit from a relationship with Roost, whether it's an agent or a property manager or whatever, a career, then they will connect to us because they'll know who we are and where we are and how we work. So I think that it's more than just marketing for those out there listening. It's really about just getting Roost out to the world in order to help us find our right fits and vice versa. So I'm really proud of that. And I'm really proud how, we hung in there with content and with that kind of mission from a marketing perspective. And that with the new features of AI search and, kind of all of SEO coming back around, we're going to be in a really good spot for people to find us who need our services and who will fit with our culture.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just one of those foundational things that we were able to do this year that's going to just bode well for the company for the future. And I'm especially proud of the 8 mindsets of the new real estate professional. It's an avatar video series starring yours truly. So if you're a real estate professional, agent, or broker, please check that out. And also, I don't know what week we're on, but we do one of my 59 rules for real estate success every single week. So those are actually really cool short form avatar videos that are out there on the socials and on the YouTube channel as well. And in next year, early next year, we're going to have an avatar driven series for buyers and sellers that Priscilla McNamee's, our director of sales avatar, is going to present. And it's called How to Win a Bidding War. So I'm super excited to get Priscilla's avatar out there in the world and communicate some just incredible information that's going to help our buyers next year and years to come. So we have, to some extent, become a media organization in the best possible sense, and I think it's just the beginning. So now that we've kind of touched on the front stage part of, Roost as a media company, I'm going to jump ahead, Laci, to the backstage part of the accomplishments that we enjoyed this year as a media company, and that was moving all of our marketing to a new platform that you may be familiar with out there called High Level. So, Laci, do you mind? Why don't you give us a little bit of background of what High Level is doing for us and what it'll do in the future and what it took to get that set up?
Yeah, I mean, I think every company out there needs a CRM or a customer relationship manager. And I think that those words are the perfect description. They don't do enough to talk about how High Level stands out, I think, from other CRMs that people use. But it really and truly gave us the tools from the basic CRM that we were using, moving to High Level, gave us the tools to actually manage relationships. So at the most basic level, we're able to communicate via text, via phone, via email, directly through High Level so that our entire team has an insight into what conversations are ongoing. We can communicate as a team through High Level, so that really improves our accuracy and our response time when it comes to working with clients or prospects. So I can't say enough about just the relationship portion of High Level and what it allows us to do. But it also really helps us with automation, which gives us our time back, because at Roost, we are so insistent on true communication with folks, right? We're having calls, we're doing personal emails, we're doing Zooms constantly. We want to maintain that personal relationship because it's the only way that you can truly understand one another. The perfect example is, when you send a text and you don't have a tone, but like maybe my husband read a tone into it. And now he thinks I'm mad when really I was just in a rush or something. So the personal conversations and personal relationships, we are not willing to sacrifice that at Roost. And High Level has given us funnels and tracking and drip campaigns and prospect management, lead management forms that just make it easier to communicate and automate the process where it makes sense, so that we can get our time back and continue to have personal relationships with those folks. The last thing I'll say is the data that High Level presents to us is far more accurate, much easier to dig into. We can see where everybody came from, where everybody ended up. We can go back to folks who, are in the ghost status because their lives got busy, or, in multiple occasions, we've been able to go back to folks who maybe fell out of the process because we have that data and we're able to tap into it on a regular basis. And they say, oh gosh, no, my kitchen remodel is just taking far longer than I thought it would, which, same. But we're really able to use High Level's tools to enhance our personal relationships with people. And that's been the value to me as a marketer, because the struggle is real when it comes to what do you automate versus what do you keep person to person.
Well, it's actually helping us. We always did it, but it took a lot more manual effort. So through High Level, we're able to manage that group of relationships with real estate professionals that have downloaded the various books or, clicked on something on the website, some item of value they wanted. It manages the investor group, people who may someday sign up with us to, for property management. And it also manages groups that our agents appreciate, right? Potential buyers and sellers that may become clients for our real estate professionals. So, we're able to manage connect, practice, track, and grow for agents. We're able to manage all things real estate for buyers and sellers, and we're able to manage the landlord profitability playbook ecosystem for all of our real estate investors. So it was a lot. It was a big thing.
It was, and I could not be more thrilled that we did it, especially now that we're on this end of the transition.
Yeah. Now that it's over,
but
it feels
there's so
great.
much more that we're looking forward to doing with it. Am I right?
There is. But before we jump into, things that we're excited about for next year, I just want to touch base and call out a couple of other key people on the team. I've learned the hard way over the years that we just can't treat team members as an expense. Team members are an investment, and they're our most important investment because they're the ones that at the end of the day make sure that the promises we make to our clients are kept. We really did do some upgrades. We brought in new leadership where leadership was needed. We added operational support this year. We simplified the backstage systems, whether through technology or just getting our workflows right. Our communication between Gretchen and our property managers and the owners is improved, and we've got big plans to improve that even more as we go into next year. But across the board, especially in property management, because it's such a labor intensive and system based business, stronger management, stronger leadership. We've improved the leasing, the maintenance, and of course the marketing alignment. And I can't say enough. There was a time, I guess, like a lot of entrepreneurs, where I guess I was hiring for bodies, but I assure you at this point, we're only hiring people who bring value to the business. We're only hiring people with batteries included. And, we're always looking for people who think independently, act decisively, and show up again with batteries included. So a couple of shout outs. Taylor Cole, she was promoted to our property manager position in Columbus. Jennifer Brent is a new hire with us. She's a licensed and experienced real estate agent who's now our leasing manager. She'll be working with owners across the entire portfolio when there's a vacancy to fill. Stephanie Doppler was a new agent with us this year in January, and now she's working directly with Gretchen Mitchell, and she's going to be key to helping Gretchen and Taylor and Tina in Springfield get owner inquiries, owner requests, and so forth answered quicker. Of course, you, Laci, and Kylie are marketing or advertising artists and so forth, driving high level brand messaging, the content engine. And of course, Priscilla, our director of sales, who I'm so excited that she's going to be with us next year as we launch new initiatives to grow our agent group. So this is the team that I always wanted, but it's the team that we never, for whatever reason, were able to put in place. And this is the team that we needed to have before we could get serious about growing the business. So shout out to everybody and thank you. Now, how about next year, Laci? Can we run through some things that we're going to do next year?
Yeah, this is the team that's going to make that possible. So I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. This next one I think is even named after you and your hobby. So you take it from here.
My hobby. That's funny. So one of the things that we're going to do next year to grow our property management business is establishing an agent referral program. A lot of agents work with investors selling them new properties and so forth, but they never have a partner that they can refer that buyer to for management. And we want to be that partner for every single licensed real estate professional in Ohio and Florida that works with investors, right? We want to be that property management provider. And we're calling this, Hey, Chris, buy me a beer. So there's a new website that we'll be launching next year. And it's going to be driven by High Level. So, thank goodness for High Level. It's going to run that entire program for us. But I want to talk about this because it's not just another referral program. I really see this as a strategic growth engine for the company. And it's designed specifically to work in the modern real estate environment. So, Hey, Chris, buy me a beer is built on three principles. Right? People love to help people they trust. So agents, owners, past clients, community partners, they already send us business, but this program gives those referrals structure and appreciation. And number two, referrals are the highest quality leads in property management. We have always worked by referral with the agents in the sales side, but we've never intentionally worked by referral in the property management sides. The very best owners don't click Google ads, although some of our owners did initially find us by clicking the Google ads. But most of our owners come to us either through our own agents who trust us, owners who trust us and appreciate us, and vendors and partners who respect how we operate. So the whole idea of Hey, Chris, buy me a beer is to really put some intention behind earning referrals for property management from the agent community at large, right? So we want every agent in Columbus, Springfield, Dayton, the Space Coast to know about Roost and our property management services, and also know about, hey, Chris, buy me a beer. So what happens is we're setting this up so that agents who refer clients to us, owners to us, that we sign up, that we're going to be providing some pretty meaningful rewards. And yeah, these aren't like, you're not going to replace your career with this, right? They're not, maybe not change your life, but there's definitely going to be rewards that are probably a little bit better than beer money. So, these aren't just token gifts. They aren't just thank you gifts, but we're setting up a system with real trackable and recurring rewards tied to the lifetime value of an owner or a door. So with beer money, referral partners will receive they'll receive money, right? Beer money. They'll also get bonuses when an owner they refer has a lease that we get to keep in renewal. When we have a vacancy for that owner, our Hey Chris, buy me a beer referral partners will get a little bit of a bonus based on the fee that we charge to get leases done. They'll also get monthly statements and emails from us showing exactly what their Hey Chris, buy me a beer balance is. And they can, anytime that their balance goes above $50, they'll be able to request a payout. And it's going to be total transparency on every dollar earned, right? Which is all fine and dandy. But the only reason this program works is we are going to make sure that any client, any agent refers to us always goes back to that agent when it comes time for them to buy or sell one of their properties in their portfolio. This isn't just let's send them to, Roost Property Management and lose them for a few bucks. This is having a partner that our whole mission is to help that owner grow their portfolio and create more and more opportunities for you as a referral partner to sell more properties to them and earn all of that commission. So it's a lot. We just recorded a podcast. I know it's not out yet, but you're all going to be hearing more and more about this. And I already hear myself rambling because I get a little bit too excited, but just leave it like this. In 2026, beer money becomes a defining part, a brand defining part of who we are at Roost.
Yeah, it could have been, hey, Chris, buy me a concert ticket, but that just doesn't have the same ring to it. But it is more than just, a few dollars in your pocket here and there. And I think that the real benefit is, like you said, the beer money is great, but knowing that you have a partner you can trust to protect that relationship, in addition to providing another service that they're gonna find valuable, is really the basis of it all. So I think the beer money part of it is fun, but when it comes right down to it, I think that agents, that owners, that we here at Roost obviously really know what it's all about, and that is making sure that these relationships, which we're all relational based, are the thing that we take the best care of.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I love the way the website looks. I can't wait to get that launched next year. The second thing I'm excited about going into 2026 is, we've had great success with our Invest with Roost program. Basically, it's what we've been featuring on our, website for property managers for, probably close to 18 months now. And we're going to expand that idea with something that you alluded to early called Roost Portfolio Management. So for years, Invest with Roost has supported first-time investors, accidental landlords, small portfolio owners, and quite a few out-of-state buyers, who bought their first or many properties in Ohio or Florida. And the mission for Invest with Roost hasn't changed, but we're going to expand on it. The second part of our property management offering after Invest with Roost is called Roost Portfolio Management. And I do think it's a natural evolution of our investor services. So between Invest with Roost and RPM, Roost Portfolio Management, I think we're going to have, a unified ecosystem that serves individual owners, right? Owners with 1 to 3 properties. These owners are looking for some stability, some guidance, growth, and most importantly, they're looking for landlord profitability. And then the next tier of owners that we can support are growth-minded investors. And these are owners that generally have 4 to maybe 20 properties, and they're looking to scale. They're very intentional about it. This is something that they're going to carry out for the long term, and they want to buy more, right? So those are the growth-minded investors. And then there's this other group of owners and institutions that we have never intentionally tried to make contact with or create content or a management strategy for. And these are portfolio owners and institutions. So, we're saying 20 doors to, it might be 200, 250 doors. It could be more. But what we're looking for are investors that are looking for a solid boots on the ground relationship, but delivered at and in a way that real estate institutions need, require, and appreciate. Hopefully by continuing to expand on Invest with Roost and then combining it with Roost portfolio management, it's going to be all-in-one, a cohesive offering that supports the full life cycle of an investor, right? So we start with education and strategy. We help them with acquisitions. We focus on rehab and maintenance with them. And what's interesting is, a lot of folks in the RPM group, they have a 10-year timeline for how long they're going to own these properties. And for them, rehab and maintenance becomes very critical because they consciously have planned to invest and upgrade these properties so that when it does come time to sell them, they get the full possible value for that property. So again, education and strategy, acquisition, rehab and maintenance, leasing and management, portfolio review and optimization, and finally, disposition or a 1031 exchange, basically whatever it takes to harvest that equity in the way that makes sense for them. And as far as I know, no other property management company in Ohio or Florida certainly is doing this. And this makes patting us on the back a little bit, but I haven't seen anybody do this with the level of clarity or the relationship first execution that I think we've brought to this. So 2026 is the year of the unified investor ecosystem at Roost, and I do think it's going to be a huge competitive advantage for us going forward.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that, we've never targeted, right, these folks, but that doesn't mean that some of these folks haven't found their way to us. And I think that we certainly have some of these RPM portfolio management clients on board with us already. And, the ability to scale that very relationship-based experience is what drew them to us. Lots of them started out with a few properties with us after they had maybe had a negative experience with another property management company in some cases, or they just didn't feel like they were getting the service that they needed in the right places, right? Whether it be rehab and maintenance or whether it be communication and insight into what's going on with their properties without having to be really hands-on. That's just some of the firsthand kind of conversations I've had. So I think that, roostiness, our culture and our strategy when it comes to property management, being able to scale that as we are now able to has naturally invited some of these people. And I'm really excited to share that, purposefully with a broader audience, and bring some more of those folks on board.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to get it out there in front of people. So the next thing I want to talk about that's coming up probably by next spring it's a new book that I've written called Property Management for Fun and Profit. And this book is written for property management professionals, licensed property management professionals out there anywhere, not just Ohio and Florida. And this book has two purposes. One, I genuinely want to help property management professionals. I want to become, as part of Learn with Roost, a resource that's designed to improve their businesses, help them with their systems, and frankly, make the work of property management more enjoyable. It can be a grind, it can be drudgery, and especially for folks out there who, are a one-person band, I want to be able to give them some ideas.
We're looking at you, Nana.
We're looking at, I want to give them things that align with our mission of supporting and adding value to homeowners, investors, and the people who service them. And the second purpose of this book is, this is the selfish purpose, but I want to keep Roost Real Estate on their radar when they start thinking about making life or career transitions. There's a lot of these property managers out there eventually, they're going to want to sell their book of business. They're going to want to sell their property management contracts for their doors, or they're going to be looking for a partner, or they need a succession plan. or maybe they just want to, align and join with a bigger, stronger team. So this book it's a relationship builder first. Also, eventually, we'll see what happens, but I think it could be an acquisition funnel to help Roost grow secondly. And that's the only order of priorities that matter. So I'm excited about this book. I think it's one of the best ones I've done. And I hope to get that out. I think, Laci, we said we'd get that out probably in April of next year.
Yeah, I just talked to the editor this morning, so that's the next thing that she'll be working on. But I think you're right. Relationship builder first, acquisition funnel second, and that's how we do everything. So if you look at any of our emails, you'll see at the bottom it says, "Whenever you're ready, here are some ways that we can help you with, whatever is your next task at hand." And that's the key. It's always whenever you're ready. We're looking for, again, the right fit. And, until then, please take this information, be educated, find some more joy in your day-to-day life by implementing some of these things that we personally use and do every day. But I do think that that's really important, that it's all done really, you're very pure of heart. When it comes to these marketing strategies, but there is always a way to go about it that will hopefully bring people to us in the end. And so far, so good.
Well, the first three things we talked about were really strategic and they were really focused around property management. This one also is focused around property management, but it's a bit more tactical, right? So I'm excited to announce that beginning in January of 2026, we're going to start working with a company called Planomatic. And Planomatic is a photography company, but they're a photography company that's integrated with our property management technology stack. So Planomatic works seamlessly with Appfolio and Tenant Turner. So starting in January, every new vacancy that we market for rent will have professional real estate photography, consistent wide angle imaging, faster syndication to Zillow and the rest of the world, and will help us do a better job with tighter leasing timelines. So I'm confident that we've got a great team. They're doing a lot of things right, but the goal of this is, and the reason we're doing it, one is to improve applicant quality, get more serious eyes on a property. I mean, quite frankly, it's like when you list a house. If you've got crummy pictures, qualified buyers may skip right over it. If you have fantastic pictures, everybody's going to want to see that house. And it's the same thing with rental property. So we expect it, not hope, it will. It's going to improve applicant quality, the quantity of applications, days on market, online listing performance relative to the competition. I think it's going to give our owners more confidence. And from a marketing and overall brand perception of Roost, I think it's going to be a massive upgrade. I'm really excited about the ripple effect of this. And, I've had feedback from our owners and there's been times when I really don't like the way that looks. That doesn't show my house in the best possible light. We're going to take all that off the table and professionals going in with every single listing. And I also want to say that there's no additional charge to our owners for this. It's just an upgrade to how we lease a property at Roost. And I expect that we're going to get some operational efficiencies, because the best thing about this is once Planomatic sends somebody out to take the pictures, those pictures immediately show up in Appfolio automatically. We don't have to have our folks going out taking pictures, getting them off their cell phone or emailing them and so forth. So it should be a time saver. It should help us operationally. And I think that's why it's a real win for our owners and for our team as well.
Agreed. The homes themselves, on our existing pages, they look great, but this is absolutely a game changer, I think, for owners, for tenants, for us, so that everybody sees exactly what they're getting right up front. And I think it will help streamline the whole process.
I think it's definitely going to provide a better value, and it's what our owners need, and it's what they deserve. One more thing on this property management theme, and I just want to say this does seem like a property management heavy year, but I go back to the very beginning, and when I was thinking about what I wanted Roost to be, this was back in 2013, and I wanted a business that would operate, support us profitably regardless of the ups and downs of the real estate market. And it's no surprise to anybody that this has been a tough year for sales, a tough year for buyers and sellers, a tough year for agents, but it has been a good year for property management. And, everything comes in cycles. I can't say that there's been a whole lot of years where sales and property management all hit at the same time. But thank goodness when one sort of flattens out, the other one tends to take over. And this was the year that I'm grateful that, we built this business and worked so hard over the years with Gretchen and her team to take care of our owners. So we've talked a lot about how I want to build the property management business over time with, agent referrals and, some acquisitions and so forth. But I just want to kind of touch on, and this is a work in progress, but, my 10-year goal for property management at Roost, I'm calling it boutique at scale. So this vision is simple. We are going to become the premier property management and services organization in Ohio and Florida. That just happens to be where we're licensed now. If an opportunity came up somewhere, we'd figure that out. But we want to be the best of the best in Ohio and Florida. And, I say boutique at scale. I want to grow the business. For me, the fun part of being a business owner is to, see the owners happy, see their portfolios grow, to see our people get better, make more money, but to watch the business get better. If we're going to say grow our business 10 times, right? If Roost is going to be 10 times bigger than it is now over the next 10 years, the only way that's going to happen is that if we maintain personal service, real relationships, and I'm calling this white glove communication because I know our communication is getting better, but it's never good enough. That's key. Premium advice and counsel, but basically a boutique feel at every touch point. We may become a much, much larger company. We may be working with owners with 2, 3, 4, 500 door portfolios. But if there's not a person at the other end of the email client or on the other end of the phone or on the Zoom, it means nothing. So for me, boutique at scale, they are cool words, right? I always like to title things, but it really is the lens through which that we'll be evaluating every operational decision, hiring decision, and growth decision going forward.
I think no matter who we're working with, they can take comfort in the same thing I take comfort in working with you, Chris, is that the question that you ask is, does this make business better? Does it make business better for us? Does it make business better for our clients, for our agents, for, home buyers and home sellers? And that's kind of the bottom line. If it makes business better, then we find a way to implement it. If it doesn't make business better, then, we can move past it. But, knowing that you and the team at Roost have that as your kind of breaking point is highly comforting, I think, for everybody that works at Roost and for everybody we work with.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So finally, what I want to talk about is growing the agent side of the business, growing the number of buyers and sellers that we are able to service. Again, it hasn't been an easy couple of 3 years for maybe more for listing agents than buyer agents, but it still has been, it's been kind of tough. And what we've come to grips with is since the NAR lawsuit and the settlement, the pre-NAR era, it's just over. There's very little about the real estate business from an agent point of view that is the same today as it was 2 years ago. And quite frankly, the agent of 2026, the agents that have survived the NAR changes and the settlement, those agents they're leaner, they're smarter, right? They're more entrepreneurial. They have a business owner mentality, but most of all, they are relationship driven. So my initiative next year, as we get back to a growth posture on the agent side and the buyer and seller side, is we're going to call this one Build a Better Career with Roost. And I think this is actually the recruiting message that we want to get out to the world, to every licensed sales agent in our market areas that actually matches our culture. It doesn't have anything to do with the industry noise out there or what anybody else is doing, whether it's the legacy franchises or the regionals or the mom and pops. This is about what makes Roost special, what makes Roost unique, and why Roost is always going to be the home for entrepreneurial and relationship-minded real estate professionals. Roost will never be about body count. It's never about how many agents we have. It's about finding right fit agents or great fit agents that appreciate what we offer, how we support our agents, who fit in with our values, and they're looking to play the long game just like we are. So there'll be lots more details coming up over next year, but Build a Better Career with Roost is going to be our messaging, our marketing, our operational blueprint for how we work and support and grow licensed real estate agents. And we were lucky enough this year that Priscilla McNamee has become our director of sales. I think we might have to change that to the director of maybe agent support or something, but she's going to be spending a lot of time face to face with real estate professionals that we already know and enjoy working with, just to let these people know that we're out here, this is what we're doing, and this is what our plans are for the future. So I'm excited about Priscilla bringing this message of Build a Better Career with Roost to every agent and every market that we serve. So I think, Laci, that kind of wraps up what we have planned for next year. Did I miss anything?
Oh, I'm sure we'll add a few things here and there as time goes on, as we tend to do, but I think you've covered it as of right now.
It has been a great year. And as I go through this with you, I'm super excited for next year. I guess to sum it up, the state of the Roost Union is strong. 2025 was a great year. 2026 will be even better. We're going to continue to grow through relationships and referrals. We're going to expand into new market segments. We're going to launch new programs for agents and buyers and sellers and investors. We're going to scale on YouTube and across every podcast channel. And, I think all of that is going to elevate our brand and help everybody that we work for and with. It'll help us meet our 10-year goals and beyond, and it'll help them meet their goals and beyond as well. But I just want to say, and I guess, in the spirit of the season, we will never lose sight of our ultimate mission. Roost will always equal home. And no matter what we do, no matter how we grow, we will continue to create and coach real estate and business opportunities that support and add value to the lives of homeowners and investors and the people who work for them. To our clients, owners, agents, and most of all, our team, I want to thank you for being part of the journey. Thank you for a great 2025, and here's to a powerful, productive, and a breakthrough-filled 2026. So
It's an
thank
honor
you,
and a
Laci.
privilege, and we'll see you next time in a new year.
That's right. Thank you, Laci. I appreciate it.